Hey everybody, welcome back to The Stuff of Legend. My name is D-Lo and I've got another video for you today. Today we're going to be talking about a number of different things. I'm going to jet through them as quickly as I can. We haven't been doing a lot of movie news lately. We've been covering alternative topics. There hasn't been much movie news until recently, and a lot of it actually happens to be TV show news. So we'll get into that right now. Let me just go ahead and show you the first one and we can get going. But first, I wanted to say hey. So, in case you guys hadn't noticed, I've got a little bit of a new setup here. For those who haven't been watching consistently, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you can stay up to date with all the news and the things that are going on. I've taken a lot of breaks recently, and I apologize for that, but things have just gotten really busy with work, with home, with church, with a bunch of stuff that's been going on. But it's all good things, and that's very good. But I also wanted to encourage you guys. I'm planning certain things for this channel, and I want to make sure that I'm available to you guys, for everyone that's subscribing, for everyone that's watching this video. I care about you guys a lot. I'm really appreciative for your viewership, but also I want to make sure you guys are doing okay here and now. It's been a rough year for a lot of people. A lot of people are depressed and going through a lot personally. So if you guys want some prayer, at the end of the video, I will pray for you guys. I'll pray with you guys. If you guys let me know in the chat, just say, hey, I'm going through something, just lift me up, and give me those hands emojis or something, whatever you need. I'll pray for you here on the live in the video. So let me know if you need anything. I'll do what I can to help, because I care about you guys. And we'll talk about some stuff. I'll give you guys my honest opinions about everything that we get through here, because there's a lot going on. A couple of things canceled and a few things that have been confirmed, verified. They are going to kick into production at some point soon, if not already in production projects. And then some interesting news we'll get into towards the end, which is going to be one of the things you probably clicked into this video for, which is GINA Carano versus the world. And we're going to talk about that and just the woke culture that's trying to cancel her for literal nonsense. And I'll talk about that later. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the news. All right, first up, this one is really sad for me. The Dark Crystal Age of Resistance is canceled at Netflix, and I heard this one. I had to cover it because I know a lot of people didn't watch this one. In fact, that's one of the things that is rumored to be why it was canceled in the first place, because the quality of this show was unbelievable. The balance between practical, like puppetry, and physical props, and then the perfect blend of CGI was absolutely flawless. There was some scenes where you could clearly tell, you're like, okay, that is CGI, but it's beautiful CGI. And then there was scenes where you actually had no idea that what you were looking at wasn't tangible, because they did such brilliant work with the puppets and the backgrounds. I think maybe the trick is they went pretty light on the CGI, but the things that they did use CGI for, they did it at such high quality with such good work ethic. They blended it, and it really deceives your eyes. So it was amazing, and the story was great. The characters were lovable, enjoyable. The Skeksis were creepy as heck, but it was awesome. I'm really bummed about this one. I liked what they did. I love the world they created here, and obviously it's an older concept. I never saw the film from, I think it's the 80s. The Dark Crystal. This is called The Dark Crystal Age of Resistance, and unfortunately, I fell in love with this one, and I was really looking forward to where they were going with season 2. I won't spoil it. Check it out if you can, if you have Netflix. And a lot of people are canceling right now, so hey, it is what it is. But either way, the show is the latest one and done project at Netflix. I'm going to go ahead and read this for you. The Dark Crystal Age of Resistance canceled on Netflix. I'll read you a little bit because, it pretty much it is what it is. But there's a comment made here by one of the people working on the project. I'll read it for you right here. The streamer will not go forward with the show, a prequel to Jim Henson's 1983 movie produced by his namesake company. News of the cancellation comes just 2 days after the show won an Emmy for its outstanding children's program. I would not show my children this. It is really creepy. It's creepy as heck. It's very Lord of the Rings-esque, but less kid-friendly than Lord of the Rings. And But I really enjoyed it. I love it. I love fantasy fiction, so for me that was a big win. My wife got so creeped out by it, she stopped watching after episode 2. I loved it though. And it says, we can confirm that there will not be an additional season of The Dark Crystal Age of Resistance, said executive producer Lisa Henson. We know fans are eager to learn how this chapter of the Dark Crystal saga concludes, and will look for ways to tell that story in the future. Our company has a legacy for creating rich and complex worlds that require technical innovation, artistic excellence, and masterful storytelling. She's not kidding. It's really good. Our history also includes productions that are enduring, often finding and growing their audiences over time, and proving again and again that fantasy and science fiction genres reflect eternal messages and truths that are always relevant. We are so grateful to Netflix for trusting us to realize this ambitious series. We are deeply proud of our work on Age of Resistance and the acclaim it has received from fans, critics, and our peers, most recently receiving an Emmy for Outstanding Children's Program. Now, Netflix said in a statement, we are grateful to the master artists at the Jim Henson Company for bringing the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance to life for fans around the world. We're thankful to the executive producers Lisa Henson and Hal Stanford and Louis, I think it's Louis, maybe Louis Leterrier, there it is, Louis Leterrier, I think it is, who also directed all episodes, as well as the writers, cast, and crew for their outstanding work. And thrilled they were recognized with the Emmy this weekend. Age of Resistance featured A-list cast that included Lena Headey, Anya Taylor-Joy, Taron Egerton, Mark Hamill, Jason Isaacs, Simon Pegg, and Nathalie Emmanuel. The series premiered on August 2019 to positive reviews including from The Hollywood Reporter, but one source close to the streamer recently characterized it as an expensive disappointment. So I won't read past that. I'm pretty sure that's the bottom of the article anyway. But that right there, I think, sums up exactly what it was. Even though it was masterfully done, it appears that it did not draw in enough crowd or viewership to justify putting that much money on a project for a second season. And I think that's why it got canned. Unfortunately, it did not get the attention that it deserved. That bums me out. It was really freaking good. And I know a lot of you guys have spoken to me. We've talked about this, many of us, me and like Nerdy Blurb from Nerdy Blurb TV, Ryan. We talk about this all the time. We love that show. It's so great. Couldn't wait to see what's going on. This is going to be a heartbreaking conversation to have. It sucks because this show rocked, but hey, you know, maybe they'll find a way to get there in the future and tell that story after it draws a little bit more of a crowd, maybe. Okay, so I'll leave that there. Tell me what you guys think about this one, and make sure that you let Netflix know with your money if you want this to come back. If you want more, you've got to let them know. You've got to watch the videos on YouTube. Go to the trailer on the official Netflix YouTube channel and let them know in the comments. Start hitting them up, and people have to start watching it. So we got to tell people, right? Word of mouth is huge, but I recommend it to people. It is kind of a niche fan base. And unfortunately, that is the uphill battle, is gaining new fans of this very distinct world, very distinct storytelling style. But I enjoyed it. I think you will too. So that's what I have to say about that. Now let's go on to the next story. All right, the next story up is Supergirl is ending after season 6. Final episodes will premiere in 2021. So this one, I think a lot of people were either expecting and a lot of people were hoping for, but for different reasons, I think. Now, there has been a lot of people that are diehard fans of the Supergirl show that love Supergirl. I actually really enjoyed Melissa Benoist, or Benoist. I don't know how to say her last name. It looks like Benoist, so I'm going to say Benoist. Sorry. But Melissa Benoist as Supergirl, I thought she was really good. I really love that they put Dean Cain in the show. I really love that they had, what's her name? I keep forgetting her name, but from Smallville. And then also the original Supergirl actress. All these names are evading my head right now, and then Wonder Woman. They even had Wonder Woman in there as the president. But I think what happened was the show actually got very political. And I think that's something that they did not want that drew people away from the show, because part of fantasy, part of fiction, and this is my take. This isn't what it says at all in any way in this. Oh wait, hold on. Give me 1 second, guys. I'll be right back. Hey guys, sorry, I had to let my wife back in. She was hanging out with some friends and she forgot her keys, so I had to open that back up for her. I think that's the first Be Right Back I've ever done on my show, so that's kind of fun. All right, so thank you so much for your patience. Jumping back into where I left off about Supergirl, I was saying that a lot of people jumped off because they were turned off by the politics that were very heavily inserted one-sided in this show. There's plenty of shows that get political, but more often than not, you have some representation of one side, the other side, a nuanced, middle ground side, people that don't care. You have a bit of a mix so that it doesn't feel like an attack on one side. And there was a lot of people that really were excited for Supergirl, a show about Supergirl, and then they got in there and then they were like, this really isn't for me, because it's actually it feels like a personal attack on my worldview. And which is a bummer, because the whole point of fiction and fantasy is escapism, right? It presents you with not just a story with plots and twists and turns and adventure that unfolds and you get to learn that story, but beyond the story, these stories present a world, right? And you get to escape into these worlds where, where you get to be a vigilante, or you get to be larger than life or bigger or extra human, right? You get to be something and somewhere that you are not in reality. And unfortunately, Supergirl felt the need to bring everybody into a world that is heavily political and on one side of a political argument that really isn't shared by even a majority. And that's a bummer, because there is a place for that, but unfortunately, they chose the superhero genre to make that happen, and I think that shows a lack of understanding, really, for, I think, maybe what they were going for. They're trying to show a strong female character, which almost everybody wants. But then, instead of showing a strong female character, they tell you she's a strong female character, and then they tell you and tell you and tell you and tell you over and over and over, and that it feels like preaching when people really don't want that. They just want to escape. And instead of doing that, we'll get to the end. At the end of this video I'm going to make right now, which we are making right now, we're going to talk about what a real strong female character looks like and what a real strong woman looks like in real life with GINA Carano. And so I'll show you the contrast there, and then the contrast even within the Star Wars world and how those characters are presented. But it's one thing when the story is telling you that you need to get on board with this, and this. There's a laundry list of things you're supposed to agree with, or you're a bad person, which is what the show tends to do. Believe me, I actually watched up until the first 2 episodes, I think it was, of season 4 for Supergirl, and then I had to stop. I couldn't do it. I was like, this. By episode, I think it was 5 of season 1, I was already feeling like it wasn't for me, which is a bummer, because I really liked Melissa Benoist. I thought she was great. I thought the supporting cast was great. Martian Manhunter was awesome. Mon-El, everybody was great. And even the other side characters, I thought were wonderful. The sister, the nerdy, what's his name again? The nerdy guy, white guy. Anyway, he sings really well. That guy. Anyway, I really enjoyed a lot about the show, but I didn't enjoy the show because I felt like the show did not want me there. And that was a bummer. And a lot of people felt the same way that I did. And unfortunately, it looks like CW is saying either enough because people aren't really tuning in. I mean, there's plenty of diehard fans that are watching nonstop, but I think it's just them. You don't get a lot of the casual viewers are not turning out for this show. This is similar to what happened with Batgirl, except for there's a much bigger fan base for Supergirl than there is for Batwoman. And let's read this article. And that's my take. That's not what's happening. That's just my thoughts on kind of what is going on here. But and you can see that people do want female hero lead characters in plenty of things, especially in TV shows. There's been plenty of those that have done really remarkably well. And I made a video on that as well. But let's just go ahead and read this real quick. The Girl of Steel is taking her final flight. Supergirl, the show, will end after season 6. The CW has announced the upcoming 6th season and final season will begin production later this month in Vancouver and is set to premiere in 2021. The final season will consist of 20 episodes. Filming on season 5 was interrupted by the COVID-19 pandemic after 19 episodes had been produced, making it the shortest season of the superhero franchise to date. Like the majority of the Arrowverse, season 5 ended on a narrative cliffhanger thanks to the pandemic, with Lex Luthor defeating Leviathan and the Luthor family set to pose an even greater threat to the world in season 6. We'll likely see more of Jon Cryer's Lex and the rest of the Luthor clan in 2021, possibly paving the way for some of the characters to transition over to the CW's upcoming Superman and Lois spinoff. And we will talk about this. This is actually one of the topics we're going to talk about is the Superman and Lois spinoff. Big news. That's a big announcement. We've known about it for a little bit, rumor, but now there's an actual season order for the first season. So, I'm sorry, I think it's a pilot order. They actually have that going. So then, anyway, we'll get to that article. I'll clear that up in a second. The new series will star Tyler Hoechlin and Elizabeth Tulloch as the titular couple, or the titular. I don't know how to say the titular. I need to learn some of these words, man. Who were both introduced on Supergirl. So basically the Superman from Supergirl and the Lois from Supergirl are going to be the Lois and Clark from this upcoming show. And unfortunately, they suggest something that I don't think is the case. Or maybe it's this secondary. I have a secondary article here that shows kind of like what they think is going on here, which I do not see to be the case. But they suggest that it's possible that with Superman getting a show, that there's not going to be enough room to have a Supergirl and a Superman show. What are they going to do if they have Superman? Can they not survive with Supergirl? I think that's one of the dumbest ideas in the world, that if you have Superman, that it automatically cancels out Supergirl or makes her irrelevant. Yes, she is a tokenized character, a tokenized version of Superman, but it doesn't change the fan base. So like if you have a sufficient fan base for Supergirl, which apparently they probably don't, or they don't have enough faith that will last, I think it would work. Or you could even have Supergirl remain as a recurring character in one of the other shows, or in all of the other shows. You could even have her bounce around from all the other seasons, which, you know, she might not want to do. Melissa Benoist might not want to do that. It could also be due to the fact that she's now married, and maybe she's trying to shift her priorities from something that's so time consuming and keeps her so busy. Maybe she was going to want to transition into like movies where, you know, you spend a few months, but then you have plenty more time off. You can be with your family, I think, considerably more now that she's married. But that to me is more likely that there's unavailability, a lack or decrease in fans watching, and then possibly just doubt that this is a direction that CW wants to go in long term, and just focus their time and their money onto other shows, like the many shows that are coming up soon. So like Lex Luthor there's no confirmation whether or not John Cryer's Lex Luthor is going to be the Luthor, or even Lena from these shows going into the Superman and Lois spinoff. We don't know that yet, but it would be pretty cool. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of John Cryer's Lex. I saw him in the crossover because, again, I didn't watch season 5 of Supergirl. I didn't even watch most of season 4. So I never got a chance to really dive in and see his full story, but I did see him in the crossover. To me, the quintessential Lex Luthor is, without a doubt, Michael Rosenbaum, to a degree of actual perfection in the character. Like, it actually made the character for me in a way that only the Justice League animated series had done previously. So I'm like, my standard is the top tier Lex Luthor. And I know people have love for, some of the older versions of Lex, or like, what was the, 2004, was it? 2000, I can't remember when it was. There's the Brandon Routh and, dude, names are slipping my mind today. I'm usually on my game with this, but you guys, I'm gonna do that Joe Biden thing. You know the thing. You know the thing. No, I'm gonna have to find it for you guys. Hang on, give me 2 seconds. Lex Luthor actors. Let's just settle this. And Kevin Spacey. Okay, so yeah, it was Kevin Spacey and Brandon Routh, I believe it was. And then before that, no, I'm not trying to look at Jesse Eisenberg right now. He doesn't count. He might count eventually. We'll see how he does in the Snyder Cut. That could change my mind on Jesse Eisenberg. Is the Snyder Cut? See what they do with him there. I did not like Jesse Eisenberg as Lex. I understand it though. I understand where they were going with it for a much more like eccentric version of like a Zuckerberg character, but to me that's not really what Lex is. But that's just personal preference. Here we go. Gene Hackman. It doesn't say his name there, but I remembered it. Sometimes I'm visually linked to the things that I'm looking at. You know, so like if I'm trying to remember someone's name, I have to remember a visual. My brain is weird like that. Maybe you guys have that as well. Let me know if you guys are odd like me. So anyway, Lex Luthor is undoubtedly Superman's greatest and most recognizable enemy. Who better to challenge the all-powerful alien devoted to helping humanity than a brilliant sociopath who views himself as the savior of the world? But despite this, the CW Supergirl took its sweet time actually introducing Lex to the Arrowverse, and it wasn't until well into season 4. See, that's why I didn't know him. That John Cryer's Lex Luthor made his surprise debut and completely changed the dynamic of the series. By now, it's safe to say Supergirl has more than made up for lost time on the Lex front. Not only is he the best villain in the show's 5-year history, Lex has become one of the most fascinating and downright enjoyable characters in the Arrowverse as a whole. Read on to find out how this iconic villain became the driving force in Supergirl in season 5. You know what? Don't tell my wife. I may go back and watch season 4 because I do want to know how John Cryer's Lex is. If they're going to have this Superman show, I would love to know how that Lex Luthor kind of has been portrayed, because they still could choose to change that up. You guys tell me, have you seen Supergirl season 4 and 5? I would love to hear your take on John Cryer's Lex Luthor and how he compares in your brain, in your estimation, to perhaps other Lex Luthor actors, whether it be Gene Hackman, whether it be Michael Rosenbaum, whether it's going to be Jesse Eisenberg. You know, like, let me know your thoughts about Lex in the comments, because I want to know if it's going to be worth it for me to watch Supergirl seasons 4 and 5 and then stick around for the final season in 6. I'm really not enthusiastic about it, but I am interested about Lex Luthor because I love the character. So, definitive live action Lex Luthor. You know what? I don't want to read this, and I know you guys probably want me to maybe cover some of that, but it's kind of spoilery for me. So I'd rather not hear this guy's take yet. I'll hear your take, but I'm not going to hear this guy's take yet. Let me know what you guys think. This is linked in the description, so you guys can go there and check it out yourself. All the links we're looking at today are all in the description, so you can do that research with me. You can have the access to where I found these, and then you guys can look into it and read the whole thing for yourself as well. All right, so without further ado, let's go on to the next confirmation, which is ta-da, Superman and Lois. Okay, so while we're on this topic, just jumping straight into here, Superman and Lois, the CW gives series order to the Arrowverse spinoff. So they have now ordered the series into production. It's not in production, but they are now preparing for that. So the Arrowverse is about to get even bigger, as reported by The Wrap. The CW has officially given a full series order to Superman and Lois. First announced as being in development in October 2019, Superman and Lois is a spin-off of Supergirl featuring Tyler Hoechlin's Superman and Elizabeth Tulloch's Lois Lane. The series will follow the duo as they juggle their respective journalism careers. That's actually cool. I actually would love to see more about that. I like that aspect of when they got into that with Smallville. I really enjoyed the aspects of the journalistic investigation from the Adventures of Lois and Clark with Dean Cain. I'm a big fan of that. I love that kind of, because journalism does function in a way like detective work. So if you have that character that is a journalist, or if you have two of them, Lois and Clark, now you have yourself some serious investigative storytelling, which follows along with Detective Comics baseline. Batman, Detective Comics, Superman, Detective Comics. Even though he's not a cop, he is a journalist. So in a way, there's that investigative element to it, which is fun. I like that. As long as they're not doing fake news. So the series will follow the duo as they juggle. Yeah, so we talked about that. And then as it follows their respective journalism careers, Superman's costumed adventures and the newfound pressures of raising their son, John. Named after Jonathan Kent, no doubt. Okay, and so Arrow, we already saw that. So that's the picture. By the way, I would like to say, I know that they are having a lot of trouble with the Batwoman series. Batwoman's suit was level 10. The suit for Batwoman was awesome. It looks perfectly comic book accurate. It is the most comic book accurate of all the suits done in any of the shows from all of the CW. There is no better suit than Batwoman's suit. Unfortunately, I don't think there's a worse show. And that is not, I'm not trying to be, offensive. It is what it is. They are having a very rough time, because I am not the only person that is saying that. And most people who believe that don't say it. They also don't watch. Or they stopped watching. So the new series is produced by Berlanti Productions, which will be written and executive produced by Arrowverse veteran Todd Helbing. No other casting announcements have been made. We recently asked John Cryer, the guy who's playing Lex, if he'd be interested in reprising his role as Lex Luthor for the series. But Cryer is remaining mum about Lex Luthor's future. All I can say is it's absolutely a show I will watch, but I have no idea, said Cryer. It was very funny because I was shooting the very last of the crossover stuff, and I was under the impression that Tyler Hoechlin was done. He says, and I get out of the plane, and there's Tyler. It was right after they had announced his show, and I was like, oh my God, wait, what is that? What does this mean? But it's so funny because I don't know what it means. Nobody has said a word to me about that show. Okay, so he's denying that he's been contacted at all about the show. I'm guessing that they're probably going to start with some low-level villains or some oddball villains. In fact, I'll be honest, even though Superman is a top-tier villain, top-tier powerhouse superhero, his villains tend to be top-tier powerhouse villains, the best ones he has are often human, or often significantly more vulnerable than he is, because it shows his intrinsic faith in morality and in not necessarily God, but that he has a moral code which he will not break because it's part of who he is as a character. And so it forces him, like when he has a bank robber, criminal or something, if he's got really smart bad guys like Lex, they trap him, they pin him, and he has to overcome a lot of oftentimes moral obstacles that he's got to get through, like choosing between stopping the freight train and the bomb, right? You know, and it's kind of like, you know, puts him in these dilemma scenarios. But as a reporter, they can do this as well. They can have a lot of the crime being fought can actually be very like low key undercover stuff. The episodes can often be like him versus the criminal versus, you know, exposing crime that is hidden through the war of journalism, you know. So he could actually do that, and that would be just as interesting to me, honestly. I would still love to see Superman action, love to see the powers and some really good CGI, some fight scenes that are epic. But really truly, it would be a lot. I would be more interested in a Superman show that was a little bit more on the ground, focusing on those things. Plus, they do show they want to dive more into him as a parent and as a journalist, which sounds like they're going in that direction. They're going in a more humanized direction, which, you know, that'll be interesting. I'm interested to see what that'll be like. Probably very Lois and Clark Adventures of Lois and Clark. That's probably what it's going to be like. Superman and Lois isn't the only new Arrowverse series in development. The penultimate episode of Arrow will also serve as a backdoor pilot for Green Arrow and the Canaries, a spin-off starring Catherine McNamara's Mia Queen, Katie Cassidy's Laurel Lance, and Juliana Harkavy's Dinah Drake. And it's also, you know, there's also an announcement that a Walker Texas Ranger reboot of the original Chuck Norris series starring Supernatural's Jared Padalecki is also in the works. And so I'll talk about that. There's a little bit more to this article, but I'm not going to read that. I just want to get your thoughts. What do you guys think about this upcoming series? So we have the cancellation of Supergirl is on the way, but there's still a 6th season coming. But we may possibly get to see that Lex Luthor, maybe, rumor, not confirmed, maybe, hopefully, at some point in the upcoming Superman and Lois TV series that is coming to CW. So we have 2 shows canceled, which is The Dark Crystal on Netflix, Supergirl, CW. But now we also have Superman and Lois, which is going to be a really, I think, a really cool concept show. We'll see how it does. And then also Jared Padalecki's Walker Texas Ranger. Now, let me go ahead and I'm going to shift over. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like this video. And also, don't forget to check out the merch. I'm going to plug this right now in the middle of the thing, in the middle of the video. You can see it down here. I've got the merch that I've got going on right here. I've got a lot of Power Rangers designs, but I've also got a ton of other stuff like DC, Star Wars. I'm going to click on the DC one so you guys can see some of this action. This is just my website link, so you can see some of these. I'm going to upload some new ones. I've got a ton of these. If you like your favorite Superman, Batman actors, I bet you didn't know Ben Affleck played Superman for like a quick minute within another project when he was playing another actor who played Superman. This is George Reeves right here. And then also Tyler Hoechlin. This is the one we're talking about right now for this upcoming show. Henry Cavill, of course, is the GOAT, and Christopher Reeves as well. And then, yeah. So we have plenty of these that I can show you. But anyway, I'll leave that there. On to the next one, which is not a DC. Actually, you know what? No, I'll do the DC show first. We'll do Arrowverse spinoff Canaries backdoor pilot description revealed. And I have 2 articles for this one that you can check out. That one and this one. Arrow spinoff new details for the CW's backdoor pilot. I'll read the Deadline article, even though I believe it was the IGN one that came first. Yes, because it was January 3rd, 2020. January 3rd, 2020 in the PM. Okay, so yeah, so this is the one I'm going to read. This one had some new details from the Deadline report. It says here, we're getting a better idea of what CW's backdoor pilot for its Arrow spinoff is going to look like. The network shared an official description today for the episode starring Catherine McNamara, Katie Cassidy, and Juliana Harkavy. In the January 21 episode titled Green Arrow and the Canaries, it's the year 2040 in Star City, and Mia Queen, who played by McNamara, has everything she could ever have wanted. However, when Laurel Cassidy and Dinah, played by Harkavy, suddenly show up in her life again, things take a shocking turn and her perfect world is upended. Laurel and Dinah are tracking a kidnapping victim with direct ties to Mia, and they need her help. The synopsis continues, knowing it will change everything, Mia can't help but be a hero, and she, Laurel, and Dinah suit up once again to save the city. Tara Miele directed the episode, written by Arrow showrunner Beth Schwartz and co-creator executive producer Mark Guggenheim, executive producer Jill Blankenship, and co-executive producer Oscar Balderrama. The project hails from Berlanti Productions and Warner Bros. Television. Excuse me. McNamara starred in the recurring role as Mia Smoke in the 7th season of Arrow and was promoted to series regular for the current 8th and final season. She is a street fighter turned rebel leader that turned out to be the Green Arrow Oliver Queen's daughter. Cassidy played Laurel Lance's The Black Canary in the first 4 seasons of Arrow and was a special guest in season 5 before moving over to The Flash. She returned for season 6 of Arrow as Laurel's doppelganger Black Siren, and Harkavy portrayed Dinah Drake, otherwise known as Black Canary, in the 5th season of the show and was promoted to series regular for seasons 6 and 7. It's pretty cool. So, and then it mentions really quick, the CW president, Mark Pedowitz, first teased the idea of an Arrow spinoff at TCA last August. And that's the end of that one right here. But you can see it's based off of that episode of the crossover where both of the Black Canaries come and find Mia Smoke in the future. And they bring her back. But that's kind of the pilot episode. So I'm curious to find out what exactly the show is going to be about. It seems like it's going to take place in the future where they were, which I think is a good idea. I think that'd be really fun. And I think that'll actually have a very similar vibe to what's it called? The Gotham City Sirens. I think it's called. Yeah. Oh, no, it was the Birds of Prey show back in the day. That was like, so I think that started the same year as, I think it was the same year as Supernatural. Might have been the same year as Supernatural. But anyway, I think it'll have a similar kind of idea behind it. Just chick superhero show. Be really cool. Mostly, I think they have like, one of them is a tech-based power. The other one is an actual power. And then one of them has no powers at all and is just really good at fighting, trained by her, I believe trained by her father, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so let me know what you guys think about this one. This is just the news I'm giving you. I don't really have a lot of opinions about this. I have not been up to date with a lot of the CW shows. Most of them started really strong for me, and then some of them started to take a dip, and it was a little bit of a roller coaster. So as I continue to have kids, my life got more busy, and my wife really lost interest in those shows, which means that I did not watch those shows for the most part. I watched more than she did, but it wasn't kind of what we were going to spend our mutual time on. So to me, I think I would definitely give this a shot. This sounds really cool. I like these actresses. I enjoy the characters as well. So yeah, I'm totally down for this. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. All right, Arrow spinoff, and this is the other article, just in case you wanted to check it out. This just refers back to almost exactly what the other article had shown about Crisis on Infinite Earths. Yeah, that's pretty much it. But the other article was more updated, but I've got both of them here for you, linked in the description. And now we're talking about Jared Padalecki to star in Walker, Texas Ranger reboot. I love this idea. I really like this one. I was a huge fan of the Walker, Texas Ranger show. I had the whole series on DVD. I still do, actually. I still have it. It's over there on my. You can't see it, but it's on my shelf to my left. I love Walker, Texas Ranger. I love the whole concept. It's just law and order, and and it had good morals. I'm really hoping that CBS allows that to stay the feel. It doesn't have to be nearly as cheesy as Walker Texas Ranger was, which it really was. It really was quite cheesy, but I hope they can find a way to keep the similar spirit of good, right? It's a good guy, a good cop, a good ranger, a Texas Ranger, and he's out there, and he's kicking some serious butt, but he loves people. He's not trying to start anything, but he's here to make sure that nobody gets hurt when other people do start things, and he shuts it down, and he's really good at that. So I hope that that's the case. I can't wait to see what they do with Jared Padalecki. Is it going to still be martial arts oriented, or is it just going to be about a guy who's like really tough and tough and rumbling and that sort of thing? So let's read this article and just see what they have to say. CBS TV Studios is developing the project based on the 1990s staple that starred Chuck Norris. Supernatural star Jared Padalecki has lined up his next TV project. The actor, whose long-running CW series, I'll put this up so you can see his face. The long-running CW series will end in 2020 and is set to star in a reboot of Walker, Texas Ranger that is in the works at CBS Television Studios. The new project, called Walker, is an update of the 1990s staple that starred Chuck Norris as the title character. Anna Frick from Valor and Being Human is writing the update and will executive produce with Padalecki, Rydebacks Dan Lin from Fox's Lethal Weapon, and Lindsay Libertor and Dan Spilo. CBS TV Studios is shopping the project to potential buyers. I'm guessing probably like it could be Netflix, it could be whoever else may want to pick it up. But I believe they also have CBS All Access. Like you can just get it like a subscription. So I'm sure it'll be on both platforms. I imagine they won't create a project they don't want on their platform, but we'll see what happens with that. Padalecki will play Cordell Walker. Yes. So he is playing the same character that Chuck was. So Padalecki will play Cordell Walker, a man finding his way back to his family while serving in Texas' most elite law enforcement unit. A widowed father of two, Walker returns to his home in Austin after 2 years of undercover work. On a high-profile case, only to discover there's more work to be done at home. As was the case in the original series, Walker will have a female partner who is one of the few women to serve in the Texas Rangers. Walker Texas Ranger ran from 1993 to 2001 on CBS, and the network revisited the show in a 2005 TV movie. It put up solid ratings throughout its run, ranking in the top 25 among total viewers 4 times in 8 full seasons. Padalecki, a Texas native, has spent the past 15 years starring with Jensen Ackles on Supernatural. The show is set to begin its final season on the CW on October 10th. It's pretty cool because Jared Padalecki is from Texas, and he's dude. If you guys have seen Supernatural, it is a really sick show. It has some horror elements to it. So like if you don't want to see anything that is remotely scary, you feel like you might be a little bit sensitive to that. I myself am sensitive to that kind of thing. I usually don't watch any horror genre anything, but I did watch Supernatural. I watched Brightburn. Those are 2 that I watched. I really don't watch anything inside of the genre. I made exceptions for these because I had heard that this was incredibly good. It's not designed to be a horror, but it has horror-y elements in it. And it actually was way less like scary, trying to scare you. It didn't have a lot of that. It was actually just a really cool, almost like a real life Scooby-Doo. That's kind of what it was. And I really enjoyed it, but I really love Jared and Jensen on that show. And I'm really excited to see, and I'm not going to cover this topic, but Jensen Ackles is actually moving into The Boys. So he's going to be on The Boys. I'm not going to talk about that one this time. I didn't prepare that. I just remembered that right now. But with Walker coming up, I'm really excited for this reboot. I can't wait to see what they do here, and I hope I hope that it comes out sooner rather than later and that it doesn't get delayed or anything. I hope production continues on time, and I'd love to see where they go with this as well, and who else gets to be part of the show. So, woo, dude, I need some coffee, dude. What's going on? I'm feeling kind of like I need some caffeine or something, dude.